This topic that I want to discuss with you now, I find absolutely fascinating, and that is drama versus solutions. Now, I'm going to take you back to my school days and discuss with you some of the experiences that I've had that will highlight the problem that we have in South African society with regards to the drama we create, the drama we actually want in many instances, and how we ride that drama to the end. Instead of focusing on solutions, wanting solutions, creating solutions, helping to form solutions, and actually solving all the things that we are creating drama over. Now, as I've mentioned before, if you followed my video series, Question Everything, then you will know that I grew up in Paarl. And if you want to follow on these videos, please subscribe to my channel. We are almost at 7,000 subscribers now. We're just 10 subscribers short. So the channel is continuously growing, and I thank you for that. Please subscribe and click the bell icon to get notifications. If you want to hear my insight from history and my insight into the future, specifically with regards to South Africa. And this story takes me back to Paarl, where I went to two different primary schools. I first went to Noordeind, which is on the northern end of Paarl. I did my sub A and sub B back then, grade 1 and 2 now. I did at Noordeind. From there we moved to Central Paarl, and there I went to Paarl Boys Primary. Now, in Paarl Boys Primary, everyone said that this is the best school in the country. It was an all-boys school, which soon would be a problem due to what I discussed with regards to what our Western Cape Education Department is launching now with regards to how we see a boy and a girl, and whether you have a specific sex or not. So yes, just thinking about boys and girls schools will never be the same again. And some people have actually said that the people in the Democratic Alliance and within the Western Cape government and the Education Department has denied all these allegations that I am making. I'm reading from your Gazette. I'm sorry. So, sorry to say that you don't know what your own people are doing, then you need to hold them to account. And maybe you should start doing that. And this is a big part of the topic that I'm discussing now. Drama versus solutions. So, people in my childhood, all around me, spoke dramatically about so many different things. And especially within the Afrikaans culture that I grew up in. And because everyone in Paarl Boys Primary believed that it was the best boys school in the country and the best school in the country period, there was a lot of rivalry between Paarl Boys and other schools. We used to get on a bus early Saturday mornings to travel to other schools to play rugby, a sport I truly and dearly loved, especially in primary school. And my time at Paarl Boys was a very good time. I remember very, very strict teachers. I remember strict discipline. But the thing I remember most was the fact that the boys in that school, because of this culture of believing that they're in the best school in the country, they held each other to a much higher standard and would often discipline each other. Not in a physical way, but in what they would say. If someone stepped out of line, the rest of the class will pull that person back in line again. Now, that would typically happen in any well-balanced community. And certainly, while we were at school there was very little drama, except for when we had a school show that we had to prepare for, and it was especially embarrassing when there had to be female roles within these plays when you're in an all-boy school. And I can remember myself dressed up in a dress in one of these shows where I had to be the female partner in a dance that had to be performed on stage. and I'll probably never live that down. Luckily, there's no photos of that I can remember. But we avoided drama. At that school, everything ran like a well-oiled machine. Later, we moved closer to the city. And when we moved closer to the city and we were actually living at the edge of the metro, I went to a different primary school for my standard 5 or grade 7, which was the preparatory year for high school. And for the first time I was in a mixed school, and it was a huge culture shock. For the first time, because there were girls around, I got familiar with people skinnering about each other, something I never understood before, and I found this dynamic extremely interesting. For the first time, I also understood what people meant by drama. In other words, something that is small, that can be resolved easily, an issue that could be solved just with speaking and caucusing with each other and resolving something, became a huge mountain where it was a small little molehill. And I found this dynamic extremely interesting, and I actually studied this intently. I remember at that tender age of 12 to 13 years old. And as I progressed to high school, I went to Bellville Technical High School, which at the time only had 3 females within the school. So it was practically, for all intents and purposes, an all boys school. And within that scenario, we started to see drama, especially in the teenage years, where people started becoming more diverse. There used to be the religious cliques, the naughty cliques, and just the outright dangerous cliques. And they would come together during break time, and they would do whatever it is that they would do. I know in the groups that I was in, it was normally the people that would discuss and debate things, and we debated many things. But generally speaking, the boys in the school were without drama. The normal teenage things that boys would talk about would come up from time to time, but the drama all came from the teachers. And this is something that I want to highlight. And this drama that came from the teachers, I believe, carry over into society, because we were filled with drama in school. Not the drama kind that happens on a stage. Drama of all sorts. And it all came from the teachers. Some of the drama would be teachers not agreeing with each other, and they would make this plain to the students sometimes. So that students would sit with the burdens of either the teacher's religious beliefs, or the teacher's political ideologies, or the teacher's position in life, the fact that they didn't get a promotion, all sorts of things would become a student's burden. Someone that's there in school because they were forced to be there by a government, and because they are supposed to learn. Okay? So I question this continuously. And for us to comply throughout all of this drama that took place in various ways and means, with the first drama being the initiation at the school, that started when standard 6 students went for an initiation weekend before we actually started school. And we were physically attacked on a number of occasions by matrics. Now, I'm not the kind of person to submit to someone else's attack. So I fought back. And the teachers actually came to me and said, but this is part of initiation, you need to comply with this. And the first thing I said is, no one else is going to tell me what to do if I'm not happy or willing to do the specific act. And I remember we were all lined up behind this little hockey, like a little Wendy house, and we all had to go around the corner, only in our underpants. And I found this suspicious, to say the least. When you got to the other side, the matrics attacked you with watermelon pieces and rubbed it all over you. Now everyone might think that this was fun, but I got quite a few punches in that skirmish. Later, when we went to the bathrooms to go and shower, the matrics wanted to take all our clothing away. And if you stood at the urinals, you were pushed against it. From that day, I never ever went to a urinal in my life again because of that one incident. It had affected me that much. And I decided that this specific matric that did it, I would get him back. And believe me, I did. I changed the way that high school conducted business at the time. And I was only one person. One person can make a difference. When it came to corporal punishment and drama with regards to kids not rocking up for a rugby practice, and now everyone needs to tree on a Friday to get their hidings for not being at rugby practice. Now I was an asthmatic, and this one particular opportunity, I didn't go on that Wednesday. It was raining. My mother came to fetch me at school and said I can't go to rugby practice. And because of this, I was called out on Friday to go and tree on at Mr. Steenkamp, and I hope you're listening, at his office. When we were there, everyone else was there to also now get this hiding from Mr. Steenkamp, or as we call him, Karakoolskap at the time, because he had hair like a Karakoolskap. Everyone stood there waiting to see what was going to happen to me. They all went in, got their hidings with a cane. When they came outside, they waited to see what was going to happen to me. I will never forget that day, because I went into his office and they wanted to make a drama out of this. And I cut that drama short because I had a very quick and short solution. When the teacher asked me to buck, to bend over, I said to him, why? When he said to me, because you didn't come to rugby practice, I said to him, what do you want to do to me? And he said, well, you need to be punished. I said, are you going to hit me? And I asked him straight up, and he was quiet. I said to him, if you were planning on hitting me, I would put you in the hospital today. He was smaller than me. I was ready to beat him up so severely that he would never forget that for the rest of his life. He immediately told me, please, for my mother to write a letter and let me go. I walked outside and everyone was laughing and joking at me. Nou brand jou gat lekker. I will never forget that. Now your butt is burning nicely. I just laughed at them and said, enjoy your cuts. I got nothing, and walked out. I was a legend from that day on, because I stood up against a system where drama was always the thing, instead of a solution. A simple solution to show that teacher that he was wrong, that he was acting outside of the law, and that he was never allowed to do what he was doing, and that it wasn't necessary, that no one had to take that nonsense from him because he was breaking the law of the country. The reason why this happened, and the reason why I felt that way, and it was the last time that anyone threatened to hit me, was because of a fitting and turning teacher that gave us tests to do. And he said anyone that gets under 80% was going to get a hiding. Well, on that day, he read out all the test results the Monday. We wrote the test on the Friday. And one by one, the students came up to the front and they all got a hiding. Every single one of them. My test was last. He told me to come to the front and he told me to bend, which I did. I was in standard 6 at the time, or grade 8. He gave me 2 shots with a cane and handed me the paper. I had achieved 98%. That was the last time that anyone hit me. The last time in my life. Any other hitting throughout my life came from me. And I believed only one thing, and my dad taught me this. If you're going to be in a fight and you hit someone, it should be one punch and the fight should be over. And I have stuck to that record ever since, when it was necessary. One of those people on the receiving end was a teacher. And I will never forget this. During my history exam, I was sitting, writing a 30-mark question, and I did very well in history. I have a very good memory, and I often got 100%. I think in my final exam, I scored 98. And I just had a feeling that this teacher was going to hit me as he walked past me on my back. And it's exactly what happened. It's like I could see it in my mind's eye, and I was ready for him. When he hit my back, I turned around, I hit him through the face with a backhand. He flew to the floor, man down. And all the kids in the class said, "Meneer, stuur hom. Send him to the principal." That teacher and myself became best friends. He was at the head of the angling club at the school, and I became the voorsitter, or the chairman of the angling club. There are certain things in life that happened to me that changed the way I look at the sheep that follow and the people that love drama. That day, when I floored that teacher, no one questioned me ever again. No one challenged me ever again. When I went on to the military, I knew I was going to be abused badly. And I know I'm out of the schooling system now. In the military, we became government property. And one of the famous things that we were told is that you can't even cut yourself shaving, because that would be damage to government property and you would be fined, or you would get detention for cutting yourself shaving. There was so much nonsense that happened during that time, but it built a lot of character in me. We were starved for 2 days before we got our first food. There always had to be a drama instead of a solution. The first food that we got was tongue. I didn't even recognize what it was that was lying in the trays. Some of them were yellow, some of them were orange, some of them were green, some of them were purple. But I was so hungry, we all just devoured those ox tongues without even thinking twice. You don't know what hunger is until you've been made hungry. And in the army during basic training, we were taught, and I was taught many things. And maybe I learned a few more things than most of the other people. Because the one thing I realized, that under the system where you are government property, and I know what it's like to be government property, and you are told by the corporal that he can kill 6 out of the 30 people without any inquiries. It changes your life forever. And I know many of you listening now have been through this experience. All the corporals that trained us were PTIs. They had been through hell to get their stripes. And those guys were going to transfer that hell to us. Fortunately, my corporal was a PF member, a permanent force member, Corporal Koeberg, and I'll never forget him. He was a wonderful person. He was very good at teaching us many things about life, and I will always appreciate that. And because of how he was, I wanted to be the best that I can be. So I decided that instead of making a drama of the army, that I was going to be the best at everything. And that is exactly what I did. I ran the fastest 2.4 kilometers. I was the fastest at stripping an R5 rifle and putting it back together again. I was the best troop in inspections. And I won the trophy week after week after week for our flight to be the best in the squadron of 3,000 people. It took a lot of dedication and time, but I proved a lot to myself during that time. I did not grow up in a rich family. We grew up always having what we needed. And for us as kids, we never thought of ourselves as being poor. But a lot of people had a lot more than us. So I had everything to fight for. And I was going to use every opportunity to put drama aside and fight and find solutions. My solution for myself in the army was to be the best out of everyone there. And that is one thing that the corporal taught me. If you want to do good in the army, be better than everyone else. And that is what I set out to do. After we had drilled and practiced, I would go running in the evening, exercising more. Even when other people were lying back in their bungalows, I was running and practicing to be faster and faster and faster. until I broke the Air Force record for the 2.4 kilometers. Now that record's a long time been broken, but I had that record behind my name because I put in the effort and the time to do that. There was one very important lesson that I learned, and that happened after the first week of basic training. After a lot of abuse, we learned to drill within our group of 30, and when we learned to drill and do our inspections and prepare for our inspections on a Friday, our corporal said to us, "You will be the best out of all the flights on parade." The first Friday, we came second. We were not first. It was the biggest mistake we made. We were put under house arrest for the rest of that week. We had to report to the boom pilot at the entrance to the base every hour, either with our bed, with our kas, with our trommel, with something. It was hell. It was absolute hell. I can tell you, for the rest of the 2 months basic training, our flight was number 1 every single week for the rest of that time, and I was, in the end, the best troop out of that squadron. Because that is what it took to survive. So instead of a drama, I found a solution by being the best. Now, outside of military, I applied these principles in many places, of which Koeberg was no exception. When other people went home weekends, I stayed on the plant and walked down systems, tracing every single line, valve, pump, whatever it might be, to get to know the systems backwards. I sat on weekends at home going through the design-specific documents to get to know the design specifics of that plant. I wanted to know it better than anyone else. And it took a lot of time and effort to achieve that. But it was worth it, because instead of making drama, I wanted a solution. The solution was knowledge, knowing more, all the time, studying more. And it gave me success. I will still do many videos on my time and excursions at Koeberg, the many events that I experienced where I just happened to be there and where I could make a difference and save Eskom and Koeberg millions of rands. And I'm proud of those achievements because I worked hard to be able to do those. Now, getting back to society and people making dramas out of everything. When this COVID-19 lockdown started, and I'm using this as an example because it's still affecting us today. If we wanted solutions, we would have looked at the law, looked at our rights, and taken action immediately. But what did we do? It was drama. Drama in the news. Drama on social media. It was drama everywhere. It was a soapbox. Memes flying around everywhere. And then Cyril Ramaphosa would come, he'll make a speech that was written by someone else, that he read off a teleprompter, and everyone would put him in a superhero suit, standing there, and Cyril the superhero was now the hero of the country. 2 weeks later, when lockdown gets extended, all of a sudden he becomes a villain by the same people. We like drama. Why do we like drama? Because the school system has taught you to be dramatic with regards to everything. The school system did not teach you to find solutions, because I defied the school system and stood up against it on my own. I developed a way of coming up with solutions. Solutions to problems my whole life. And maybe I got that from my father because he found solutions for many things. He was an inventor, a technical inventor. But I could not stand having this problem that you cannot solve, because I believe all problems are solvable. You can solve most problems if you don't turn it into a drama. So people, some of you might be hurt by what I say, and maybe you should cry a little about the things that you've been dramatic over. Sometimes crying is a good thing. Sometimes feeling bad is a good thing. Sometimes feeling sad for what you've done is a good thing. Sometimes feeling bad about what you haven't done is a good thing. Those are all emotions that get us to act. And now is a time where the drama needs to stop and the solutions need to happen. I cannot use drama queens and drama kings to help me with the solutions for the problems that we all face. I need people that can put the drama aside, that can look at the big picture and actually understand and know how to execute a solution to a problem. See a solution for what it is. Recognize it. If it's better than what we currently have, it is a solution. It might not be perfect. It might have to be changed in future. But solutions are what we need. Dramas, we must forget. And one way of getting rid of drama is not watching TV, not watching news, not getting involved in the drama at school. Because teachers will try and bring you as a parent into the drama that they are supposed to stop. Because they're there to teach your kids. But this is not what's doing. The New World Order ideology wants to create drama throughout society, and the schooling system was used very effectively to create this environment where drama will always distract us from solutions. Join me. Subscribe to this channel. Click the bell icon. Share this video with your friends so that we can become a part of the solution that we need in our lives. And that solution is freedom. Freedom from tyranny, freedom from this oppressive government, freedom from this oppressive system, freedom from parties making decisions for us, freedom for us to live a life where we can work hard to prosper. Because in the current system, you can put in all the effort you want and the system can get you under. And that is a topic for another video. How you are enslaved to the banking system in more ways than you can ever imagine. But since children are going back to school, luckily I've removed my kids out of school 2 weeks ago. Since kids are going back to school, I want you to look at the work that your children are doing. Look at their books, and you will see the New World Order ideology shine through stronger than you can ever imagine. If you are going to put blinkers on and not be part of the solution, you can be part of the drama, and then I cannot help you. Be a part of the solution. Thank you for listening.